It was either taking your jewelry or going out and mugging somebody.
All right. For Judging Judy. All right.
Hello and welcome to Judging Judy, the podcast that finally turns the tables on America's least favorite TV judge. This week's episode comes to us from back on February 5th, 1998. But before we jump into things, I have a little advice. While dressing up as a ghost is great for Halloween, it may not be as well received at a funeral. To help us remember what was going on in the world back when this episode first originally aired, I brought in my friend, Professor Wikipedia, Doctorate in Cookies and Cream. A bill was passed by the U.S. Congress changing the name of National Airport in Washington, D.C. to honor former B-movie actor, assassination survivor, and invader of Grenada, Ronald Reagan. Just as the Kennedy Center will always be the Kennedy Center, this airport will always be National Airport. Lanier Metters died. The potter was known for making jugs with really creepy faces. His contribution to the Southern folk arts were recognized by groups like the National Endowments for the Arts, the Library of Congress, and the Smithsonian. But seriously, look up Lanier Metters and his creepy jug faces. The wrestler Goldberg won his 34th match in a row during an episode of WCW Thunder in Beaumont, Texas. He would go on to win, perhaps, 161 matches in a row in total as part of his rise as one of the company's top performers. Controversy surrounds the actual number of wins, however, as WCW was known to have inflated his total from week to week, damaging Goldberg's credibility. After realizing the count had been falsified, fans at events were known to have stopped bringing signs to live shows touting the record-breaking streak. If we as a society can't trust the legitimacy of professional wrestling, who can we trust? What do we have left? Thanks for the help, Professor Wikipedia. Next, let's check in on the New York Times crossword for 2598. The clue for 34 cross is goad, and the answer is spur. You know, like the kind of thing that might get you out of going to Vietnam. Finally, let's check out the US box office for that day back in 1998. Number 3 was Amistad. Number 2 was As Good As It Gets, and number 1 was Titanic. Directed by Steven Spielberg, Amistad is based on historical events starting in 1839. It tells the story of abducted African tribesmen who overtook their captors aboard the slave ship Amistad, and then the subsequent legal trials after the tribesmen were later recaptured by a U.S. naval ship. Academics have criticized the movie for portraying the Amistad trial and the public outcry over the treatment of the enslaved people as a turning point in Americans' feelings towards slavery. Things in reality weren't so rosy. In short, while some people were against slavery, plenty of others thought slavery was a darn good thing and a profitable enterprise to boot, even while condemning the importation of new slaves. So it turns out not much has changed in America over the past 200 years or so. Let's get to the teaser for today's episode.
You put your ring on your credit card.
If you've got a credit card, you better put a ring on it.
They got engaged when he was broke.
If you want to avoid needing a prenup, this is the way to do it.
My agreement was that I was going to pay for the ring that I was going to get her.
And if it didn't come out of a Cap'n Crunch box, he wasn't paying for it. Alright, let's get to today's cases. Nadine is suing her former fiancé Andy for the cost of her engagement ring.
Because he cheated on her.
Andy, however, says that because she bought it, he shouldn't have to pay for it. Hey bros, guaranteed life hack. If you cheat on it, you don't know how to pay the bills. That means more money for Call of Duty power-ups and dude wipes. Judy opens up by calling this a new twist on an engagement ring case. As if we're talking about limited edition, infidelity-flavored Sprite, available only at Piggly Wiggly, only in the few days after Valentine's Day. Wouldn't you know, it tastes just like dude wipes. We get a belabored introduction. They went shopping together for a ring. She found a ring that she liked, but
He didn't have any money or any credit.
None whatsoever.
and the jewelry store definitely wouldn't accept barter, no matter how many Tootsie Rolls he offered.
And that's not legal in the U.S. yet.
Given that Andy was Tootsie Roll rich but money poor, Nadine put the ring on her credit card.
First mistake.
Exactly.
I've got to think there were mistakes that predated this mistake. I don't think he was a sterling guy right up until this moment. I think the first mistake happened when she let Andy take her out on that first date, but then made her pay the bill, even though he was the one who kept ordering pretzel after pretzel after pretzel. It almost got them banned from Auntie Anne's.
Tragedy, isn't it?
In addition to that, you say he charged some tires on a credit card for tires on a credit card of yours without your permission.
If you think about it, a tire is just a really big rubbery engagement ring. But look, atypical, yes. Ungentlemanly, sure. But her buying her own engagement ring is not wrong per se. Buying tires and putting it on the card, that's wrong. But if she chose to buy the ring, that feels like that's on her. Of course, we may learn some mitigating circumstances, so I'll keep my mind open on it. Anyway, things went south for Nadine and Andy. They're not only no longer engaged, they're not on speaking terms. Suing terms, yes. Speaking terms, no.
That's the American way.
I want him to pay half of the engagement ring that he gave me, that we both went together to go get.
And maybe the tires, maybe we should just focus on the tires.
Not yet.
Nadine says that she has an appraisal for the ring, but Judy wants to start seeing the actual ring, giving us a moment where Bailiff Bird presents a ring to Judy. His knee isn't bent, and he doesn't say anything to Judy when he hands over the box. But now they're legally married in 32 states. It would have been 33. But in Texas, you've got to at least grab your oversized Texas-shaped belt buckle while handing over the ring for it to be a valid proposal. The ring looks nice. It's got what looks like a diamond in the middle and a bunch of amethyst, maybe, on the sides. It's not as cool as those class rings the Balfour Company pushed at us when we were seniors in high school, but that's only because it doesn't have the words "Go Lumberjacks" encircling the diamond in the center.
I knew something was missing.
I'm not interested in the appraisal.
Okay.
I'm interested in the bill of sale.
Judy looks over the crinkly receipt, and what if I told you this ring? The very nice looking ring that is somehow lacking any mention of how Nadine was part of her school's newspaper cost over $2,600. That's about $5,200 in 2025 money. No wonder Andy didn't want to pay for it. Their engagement lasted just about 3 months after the ring's purchase, which means that Nadine spent about $28 a day for it.
I didn't walk out of the relationship. He did.
Well, look, it's important to split up duties. He does a little, you do a little. You bought the ring, he walks out of the relationship. Nadine says that though she tried to make the relationship work, it wasn't going anywhere, suggesting she may have been confusing an engagement with an escalator.
I thought that because of his promise that he made, that he was going to pay for part of the ring, I expected that in return.
You know what that means?
We just entered verbal contract territory.
Why didn't you take the ring back to the jeweler?
I did. They would not give me my money back.
And that's why I always warn people not to shop at no give back jewelers. They're very strict about their read our name or not kidding policy. They even back it up with their no exceptions guarantee. Nadine says that the store offered her credit instead of a cash refund, to which she agreed.
I then called Mr. Villalpando and asked him, look, I don't want you to be without anything, and I don't want to be without anything. Therefore, you get $1,500 worth of the ring, and I'll get $1,500 worth.
I don't really know what this means. Why would he get half if he didn't pay for half? If you know what this means, comment or email at judgingjudypod@gmail.com. Judy very, 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 very unhelpfully skips past that little bit of nonsense to ask why Nadine didn't try to sell the ring. Which feels like a stupid question because there's no way she would have gotten close to retail in the secondary market. Rings are like cars. They lose their value as soon as you drive them off the lot and put them on your finger.
Vroom, vroom.
Nadine says she has tried to sell it, but that it's very difficult, especially if you don't have one of those spinny signs like the guys at the mattress stores do. Judy turns her attention to Andy, first saying that they won't address the question of the tires, which immediately turns out not to be the case as she jumps right into the topic of the tires.
Because I don't think that you deny that you signed her name and that you bought the tires, correct?
On the credit card for the tires, correct.
Judy says the tires came to $330.
I paid her $315, so I owe her $15.
If that's true, I'm a little worried that Nadine may only be walking away today with $15.
Enough to buy me a new head.
Nadine denies she was paid anything back.
My first payment was made cash, and I got 2 check duplicates.
Andy even offers to allow Judy to subpoena his bank records, somehow forgetting that the whole thing is in a television studio and that he's being filmed.
Those cameras are recording this.
Of course, Judy doesn't subpoena anything, other than an extra Mai Tai once filming is wrapped up.
Your Honor, On those checks that he gave me, that was part of the rent and the electric bills that he left me stuck with.
While Andy shakes his head defiantly, Nadine goes on to explain that everything in their apartment was in her name because he has no credit. In fact, she says he had to declare bankruptcy earlier that year, which suggests to me that while being cheated on and getting stuck with paying for your engagement ring is unfortunate, not being married to this financial deadweight is probably a good thing. It also reinforces my thought that her first mistake came well before the fateful day at the jewelry store.
I fear you might be right.
Andy denies leaving Nadine to pay any bills upon his departure.
No, ma'am. I used to bring my checks, and she's the one that took care of the finance.
I'm not 100% sure I follow Andy, but I can still disagree with him. Even if you brought her checks, you could still have left her with bills to pay. You could have, not given her enough to cover what you owed in these checks. Nadine contests the point anyway, saying that they did their finances together, which I would actually advise against. Now, of course, this episode is almost 30 years old, and these two broke up, years ago. But as a general warning, I wouldn't let Andy do any finances. Keep them far, far, far away from him.
Just a million miles away.
Judy gets through all that nonsense with the conclusion that Andy still owes Nadine $330 for the tires, which sounds about right, no subpoenas required. With that settled, Judy asks Andy to tell his side of the story insofar as the ring is concerned. She adds that his side of the story is interesting, which we'll be the judge of, thank you very much.
Stay in your lane, bucko.
Yes, that she was going to allow me to charge a ring so I can get her because of my credit pass from a divorce that pretty much ruined my credit.
A divorce, you say? Lightning might not strike twice, but Andy certainly does. Andy says he found a ring he wanted to get her and then took her to the store to show her. I guess he means he pointed to the little picture on the front of the box in the cereal aisle.
She pretty much made me feel about this little because the ring wasn't nice enough, big enough, and gaudy enough.
Andy mimes how little she made him feel, and based on his estimation, he was made to feel like a slightly oversized bumblebee.
And she specifically told me it had to be bigger than my ex-wife's.
This is what you get for bragging about how your ex-wife had a bounce house-sized ring, buddy, and bounce house-shaped, and it was inflatable, and kids could jump in it. Andy says the ring he chose was bigger than his ex-wife's, 2 carats versus 1 carat, but that still wasn't good enough for Nadine. She wanted a whole salad's worth. Judy objects to say that while Nadine's ring is very nice, it's not 2 carats. And while I admire Judy's jeweler's eye, I think she missed the point. He's talking about the ring he chose, not the one she did. Now we get back to the day when Andy brought Nadine to the store to show off his preferred ring.
As a matter of fact, they were even having a big sale, so it was like a real good deal, everything.
It's our annual divorce, second chance, celebrate ring. If it don't work once, propose, propose, propose again. But no givebacks. Despite the deal Andy could have gotten on his ring of choice, he says Nadine didn't want it. This miffed Andy, who viewed the idea of the engagement ring as a gift and felt that the recipient ought to be appreciative of it, even if it came with a big clearance sticker on it and clearly was made with apple cores and old recycled newspapers.
Hey, Deng Xiaoping died.
So we didn't get a ring that day, and she decided she wanted to get a ring that she would like.
On their return trip to scout out rings, he says she found one that she liked.
She asked me what I thought of it, and I told her it's up to her.
It's up to you because you're paying for it anyway, or it's up to you because my love for you surpasses the limit of my hobbled checkbook? Because there is a big 2 carat difference between the two of those.
But you also promised that you were going to pay for half of it, or actually pay for the gift because it was a gift coming from you, considering the fact that you wanted to get engaged. And
whoa, this is a new development. I think previously he allegedly offered to promise to pay for half, something he was incapable of. He's definitely not going to be able to pay for the whole thing. This is when Andy drops the line that they use in the teaser about how he had only agreed to pay for the ring he wanted to get her, not a ring of her choosing, a point that Judy has some issue with.
No, that doesn't make sense, my friend. That doesn't make sense, my friend.
Now hear me out. First off, he might be lying, but let's just say he's not, for the sake of argument. He could be reasonable in saying that this is the ring I can afford. This is the ring I can pay for. Now, reasonable is different than romantic, and it might not have made him desirable to women or to Nadine specifically. It might not make him marriage material, but it's not unreasonable to think that he could have said that. And there's a certain logic to it. Again, if he's not lying.
You were saying?
As it turns out, Judy thinks he is lying. She says that it's only an invention he made up after the fact, a good story he made up to fit the circumstances after they happened. She goes on to say that the reason Andy went with Nadine the second time to shop for a ring, after she rejected his first pick, was because they were still in love and he wanted her to be happy. A point that he doesn't contest.
Doesn't look like anybody drags you any place where you don't want to go.
Unlike a snickerdoodle, when he goes to the vet, it's because he wants to. Judy says that if things had gone differently, Andy probably would have paid for the ring.
It probably would have came out of a joint checking account, yes.
This guy really hates the ring. Anyway, we come back from a break with Judy saying again that this is an interesting case, and then dropping this puzzling remark.
The ring should go back to him because it is an engagement ring.
Okay, I don't mind him having the ring as long as he pays the account.
Why, in what circumstance should the ring go to him? He didn't pay for it. And he ended the relationship by cheating on Nadine. I don't understand by what right he should get the ring, unless it's to gear up for the third go-around when he tries to get married again. Anyway, Nadine confirms that their verbal agreement was that Andy would pay for the whole ring. She adds that she's only asking for half out of nobility.
Women don't pay for their own engagement rings unless they're crazy. She doesn't sound to me like she's crazy.
I hasten to think who Judy thinks pays for the ring in a lesbian couple.
That's what happens. A man buys a woman an engagement ring.
As it says in the Bible, when it comes to engagement rings, it's Adam and Eve, not Eve and Meave. Judy goes on again to say that this business about Andy being unwilling to pay for the second ring, the one that Nadine preferred, is something he made up after the fact, and that if he didn't want to pay for the second ring, he shouldn't have gone shopping with her for it.
Having fun.
For that reason, Judy rules in favor of Nadine for $2,957.94, the full price of the ring and the tires. And she's letting Nadine keep the ring, a 1 or 2 or something else carat reminder of her failed engagement to Andy. Enjoying the pod? Consider supporting us by sending $1 or $2 our way at tiptopjar.com/judgingjudy. Or don't, whatever, I'm not your boss. For our next case, Laura is suing her longtime friend Lisa for stealing 2 rings to pay off a debt to a drug dealer. Judy mixes stuff up by starting with the defendant, Lisa.
I don't think that the facts in this case are really in dispute.
I suppose all that leaves us with are the opinions. Yes, no, mornings, private equity, campaign finance reform, sea turtle.
And Ms. Greer, you acknowledged that there was a period of time when you had a severe drug problem.
Lisa confirms this and adds that she had a drinking problem too. She also confirms that she had a debt with her drug dealer amounting to about $375.
And you were pretty strung out.
Yes.
Lisa doesn't deny this or Judy's next assertion that she stole 2 rings from her friend. As Judy said, none of the facts are in question.
What are we even doing here?
So I guess I could share a few more opinions. Summer, North, Yellow, Criminal Conspiracy, Cookie Crisp. Now back to the facts. Lisa gave both of the rings to her dealer for collateral, perhaps because her dealer had the kind of gnarled, twisted fingers that you really want to distract from.
And I was hoping to get him money because he was threatening my life, and he was a very dangerous man, and I was very frightened.
Lisa says that at the time, she was actually sober, but that the stress of the incident caused her to relapse and start drinking again. Lisa says that it tore her up to steal from her friend in this manner, and that she tried to get the rings back, but that the dealer wouldn't give them to her.
The next day I turned myself into the police.
She says that she admitted her crimes to the police that day. To be honest, that probably greatly confused the cops and interrupted them right in the middle of an early, late, mid-afternoon donut break. The 10:35 special. Laura says she found the rings missing the same day Lisa turned herself in. For all we know, it was at the exact same time the cops at the station were trying to figure out how to file a report for the stolen rings without getting powder from the donuts all over their pens. Laura says she called Lisa's mom and sister, who told her to call the police, which suggests to me that no one involved in this little incident has any respect for the sacred ritual of eating donuts by the boys in blue.
You got one of the rings back.
Laura confirms this for Judy, but in an unnervingly halting way, like she's being interrogated for capital murder.
Yes.
Lisa's not sure what's happened with the other ring and says the dealer is incommunicado. Drug dealers, am I right? When you want drugs, you can't seem to get rid of them, but when you want jewelry, it's a whole nother story.
But I want to pay her back.
I want to believe Lisa here. I want to believe that she's earnest. But I can't help but wonder if her desire to pay Laura back is overridden by her desire to have Judy pay her back for her. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on TV. Judy asks how Lisa got the first ring back, but Lisa defers to her former friend.
that's kind of on her part, and I'm not talking to her right now, so you need to.
Hearing Lisa laugh through this explanation makes it slightly harder to believe the situation is affecting her as deeply as she suggests.
The police have it as evidence.
Ah, no wonder. If you think about it, what is a ring but a very small, less sweet diet donut? Judy says that the only thing left to decide is how much the ring's worth. Laura says she paid $7,000 for it and that she has the receipts and an appraisal.
But first...
Now, I would never suggest that anyone rob any of their best friends to pay off a drug dealer. But if you find yourself in this situation, it would behoove you to look for something of high value that you can slip in your pocket or perhaps on your finger.
I'm not interested in the appraisal, just the receipt.
2 for 2 in this episode. You can take those appraisals and stuff them in your mouth as far as Judy is concerned. Appraise that.
You bought this ring at a very upscale store.
Now, Judy, did you think she bought a $7,000 ring at TJ Maxx? Did you think she was there to buy a Dora the Explorer curling iron and a pair of Puma sweatpants and then picked up a $7,000 ring as a kind of splurge, an impulse buy? It was either that or a stick of double mint. There were actually 2 charges on the receipt. In addition to the ring, Laura also bought a pair of matching earrings for $2,500 that day, which must have really thrown the cashier at 7-Eleven for a loop.
Just a lot of money to spend on a ring.
That's exactly what Lisa's drug dealer was thinking. And yet it took 2 of these rings for him to overlook her $375 debt.
Did you notice it's a charge card? I like to live over my means. I like to have what I like.
So does your friend Lisa. No wonder you get along. Of course, an addiction to high-end jewelry is different than a drug addiction, but you know, potato, potato. We come back from a break with Lisa sort of kind of caveating how bad she feels about what she did.
I'm not saying that I don't owe her the money.
She goes on to say that she's done everything she can to take responsibility for what she's done. However,
I just feel that the designer for the ring is what I'd be paying for, and not the value of the diamonds and the gold.
Yeah, but you didn't steal diamonds and gold from her. You stole rings. You can't wear rocks on your hand. Now, if you want to take issue with the global jewelry business, its business practices and its marketing, by all means. But none of that's Laura's fault. You remember, Laura, your best friend for over 15 years who you feel really, really bad about betraying?
Yeah, I remember, kinda.
What you're suggesting is as follows. If somebody steals a Renoir.
Is that someone Timothée Chalamet? Is he an international art thief going undercover as a mime in Paris to woo over the young head of security for the Louvre, played by Isabella Merced? Does he sneak into the museum through an impossibly tiny ventilation shaft, worming his way through the building, only to not steal the art, but instead propose to the art director using mime alone? And will this Netflix series be called The Heart Thief, with the ART capitalized?
And says, well, I'm prepared to pay for the canvas and for the paint that was used, but I'm not prepared to pay $5 million for this painting.
Wait, they're an art thief. Why would they pay anything? And what do you mean it doesn't make sense that Timothée Chalamet would try to hide the key for the vault inside a croissant? What about that doesn't make sense? Despite this glaring series of continuity errors, Judy goes on to explain that Laura went to a pricey store and bought an expensive piece of jewelry. Wise or not, that's Laura's money to spend as she pleases.
Is all really put together worth $7,000? Who knows? But that's what she paid for it.
With that said, Judy says the limit of our jurisdiction is $5,000, which I don't really believe. I think she just doesn't want to have to pay out more than $5,000. It's a TV show. It's her TV show. She makes the rules. However, Judy says that Laura understood the limit when she came to Judy's court, so at least there are no surprises.
You know I hate surprises.
It feels like this case is effectively over, but Judy, probably recognizing the need to fill some more time, asks Lisa if she's in treatment. Lisa says she is, and that she's been sober since the ring theft.
It's 2.5 months now.
Wow, that's a really fast turnaround from ring theft to the police to getting cast and appearing on Judge Judy. The ultimate form of this medium in our modern day dystopia would be to immediately appear on Judge Judy just as you're committing your crime. While conceding that it hasn't been all that long, Lisa says that she's on Prozac and is seeing a psychiatrist. Good for her.
It was a very sobering experience. And I'm pregnant.
Whoa, I thought she was just gonna go for the pun and then she dropped that. And I mean, it was a fantastic pun, but pregnant? She's had a busy couple of months. Judy says that it doesn't sound like it's been a great year for Lisa, but that next year will be better. Was 1999 better than 1998? Email judgingjudypod@gmail.com or comment if you think so. We come back from a break with Lisa in tears and this careful observation from Judy, no doubt a product of her many years as a judge.
She hasn't had a good time.
Judy says this to kick off a long and winding rationalization of what Lisa did. Betrayal though it was, she says that Lisa was, quote, pushed to the wall and didn't know what else to do.
It was either taking your jewelry or going out and mugging somebody.
I gotta think there were some other options in between. Bad options still, but other options. Shoplifting, check fraud. Alarmingly quickly, Judy jumped to mugging somebody. It makes me think that's always her plan B. It's either TV judge or mugging somebody.
Because, drug dealers are despicable pun scum.
The last time I heard someone referred to as pond scum was in 8th grade. It was what my history teacher called Erin Burr. She had strong, deep-seated, and personal feelings about historical figures, and I respect her for that. Judy says that this doesn't excuse Lisa's actions, but that Laura might think about the journey to sobriety that Lisa's on and how it might require support from her old friend. Then she provides a warning to Lisa were she to think about relapsing.
And go into the neonatal intensive care unit and see what a baby looks like when they're born with heroin or cocaine withdrawal.
Right.
I guarantee you that will be a more sobering experience than the one you had here.
Well, okay.
With that, Judy rules in favor of Laura for $5,000, kinda as she always knew she would. Now it's time for the one part of the podcast that really matters. It's time for me to judge Judy. I follow a strict set of rules that really come down to this. Did Judy provide justice? Justice to the people in her court, justice to the people at home, justice to you, and justice to me. If she did, she's innocent. If not, she's guilty. For case number 1, I'm gonna have to judge Judy by standards of her time and not our own. Judy habitually relied on old tropes about who should and shouldn't pay for an engagement ring and the gender roles that come along with marriage. It was tired and tiring. That kind of myopic view of things is how the world worked, and how, for some, the world still works, but it doesn't mean that that's how the world should work. A woman isn't crazy if she pays for her own ring, and a man may decide he doesn't want to pay for a ring that's outside of his budget. Both of those things are okay and should be normalized. However, I can respect where Judy's coming from with her decision, given what baggage she brings, and ultimately I can follow her logic, even if it's flawed. Case number 2 felt a little superfluous. As Judy said, all of the facts were agreed upon. Even the whole notion that the value of the ring was in question didn't really ring true. As Judy said, the thief doesn't get to decide how much the thing is worth. Nothing in this case actually needed to be adjudicated. But the case was interesting, and Judy managed to send a positive message about recovery and redemption and forgiveness. All of those are good things and a good excuse to have people on your show. For those reasons, today, Judy is innocent. With that noise, it's time for Hangman. But this isn't the Hangman you played when you were a kid, when you really ought to have been asking your parents some difficult questions. No, this is Hangman with stakes. And this week, I'm putting movie theater popcorn up on the gallows. I don't know if you've heard, but they've got this variety of the common maize plant. When popped and slathered in butter, it's delicious. Of course, you could pop your own corn at home and be relatively satisfied with the results, but movie theaters happen to make some of the best of the stuff. And if I win today, you will continue to be able to get movie theater popcorn. However, if I lose, it's gone. Sure, you can get other things at the movie theater. I don't know what else they sell. Eggshells, rat traps. Anyway, yeah. If you lose, you can watch the next Avengers movie while you suck on some mothballs or whatever. Now, I'm using hangmanwords.com, and this week I'm returning to their geography words list. Hangmanwords.com gives me 6 incorrect guesses, 6 letters that can be wrong before I lose the game. And yeah, this would be better if I had video. So again, today's answer is from their geography words list. It is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters. 8 letters. Let's start with P for Paraguay. There's no P. So my hangman has a head and I have 5 more incorrect guesses. Let's go with A for the second letter in Paraguay. There is an A, it is the last letter of the word. So I have 7 blanks and an A. Let's try N. There is an N, so it is now blank, 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 N, blank, A. see if that's an NIA at the end. It is NIA. So I have blank, 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 NIA. Try, I have a feeling I know what it is. Let's try S. Okay, so I think it's Slovenia. Slovenia it is, and movie theater popcorn lives for another day. You're welcome. You know, next time you have movie theater popcorn, thank me. Thanks Slovenia, home to the band Laibach. Its capital is Ljubljana. Nothing else, nothing, absolutely nothing else good has come from there, especially no former models, nothing else like that. But anyway, movie theater popcorn lives on. Enjoy. Bon appetit. With that, we have just enough time for an out-of-context quote from Judge Judy. That doesn't happen unless it's an old man, an old stupid man. That's it. Like, subscribe, fornicate, and share, but whatever you do, don't buy a $7,000 ring. Hey. Enjoying the podcast? Consider supporting Judging Judy by... Like the podcast? Enjoying the podcast? Consider supporting Judging Judy. As Beyonce once said, if you've got a credit card, you better put a ring on it. And that's why when I'm about to get remarried, I always tell my fiancé that I only gave my last wife an onion ring when I proposed. Nothing is more romantic than explaining to your fiancé that you got her ring on clearance, and it came with a free tote bag too. And look, baby, I want to get engaged and all, but if that ring don't come out of a box of Crunch Berries, I ain't paying for it. And this is how we find out that Judy's never heard about lesbians. It's a $7,000 ring, Judy. They don't sell those at TJ Maxx next to the Dora the Explorer book bags and the Rachel Ray curling iron.